The arrival Maya Rodriguez had always trusted her instincts, and every instinct screamed that something was different the moment he walked through the classroom door. The September morning light caught him in a way that seemed wrong, like reality bent slightly around his frame. And when Mr. Cooper announced everyone, "This is Kai Thorne." Transferring from abroad, Maya felt the temperature shift. She watched from her seat by the window as Kai moved down the aisle with movements too fluid, too precise, like someone consciously remembering how gravity worked. His dark hair fell across features that were almost familiar, but just slightly off in proportions too perfect to be random. "You can sit next to Maya," Mr. Cooper gestured. And suddenly, those eyes turned toward her. Deep violet brown that seemed to hold depths no human gaze should contain. Kai slid into the seat beside her, and Maya caught a scent, like ozone and starlight. Something crisp and electric that made her skin tingle. She tried focusing on Mr. Cooper's lecture about quantum mechanics, but kept stealing glances at the stranger beside her when Mr. Cooper asked a complex question about particle entanglement. Kai's hand rose smoothly. "The particles don't actually communicate across distance," he said. Voice like distant thunder, gentle but powerful. They're experiencing the same moment from different perspectives. Time is the illusion, not the connection. The classroom fell silent. Even Mr. Cooper looked stunned, and Maya found herself leaning closer, drawn by something beyond curiosity during the lab portion. Maya reached for a beaker at the same moment as Kai. Their fingers brushed and she gasped. A shock ran through her that wasn't static electricity, but something far stranger. Like touching a live wire connected to another dimension. Kai pulled back quickly, too quickly, his eyes widening with what looked like panic. "Sorry," he murmured. But Maya noticed his hand trembling slightly as he withdrew, tried concentrating on mixing solutions, but kept hyper-aware of him beside her. The way he held instruments with unexpected delicacy, how he seemed to pause before each action, as if calculating the precise human way to perform it when. She accidentally knocked her notebook off the desk. Time seemed to slow. Kai's hand moved in a blur, imperceptible to anyone else. Catching the notebook before gravity should have allowed, their eyes locked as he handed it back fast. "Reflexes," Maya whispered. Searching his face, "I play a lot of video games," Kai offered, but the excuse hung hollow between them. Something unspoken and electric building in the narrow space of their shared desk-ass class ended. Maya gathered her things slowly, watching Kai from the corner of her eye. He stood with that same too precise grace, adjusting his backpack with mechanical perfection that somehow seemed practiced in the hallway. She caught up to him. "Hey, Kai," he turned, and for just a fraction of a second, she could have sworn his eyes reflected light at the wrong angle, like a cat's but more complex. Geometric patterns dancing in the depths before normalizing. "Welcome to Jefferson," "Hi," Maya said, heart pounding for reasons she couldn't name. "It's a pretty standard place." Nothing too exciting. Kai's lips curved in what might have been amusement. "I'm finding it more interesting than I expected," he replied, gaze holding hers with uncomfortable intensity, especially the inhabitants. Something in his phrasing struck her as odd. Inhabitants instead of students or people, like someone describing specimens rather than peers. But before she could question it, he'd turned and walked away with that same fluid grace. Maya stood in the hallway as students flowed around her, and she knew with absolute certainty that Kai Thorne was hiding something. Something big enough to make her hands shake and her pulse race that night. She couldn't stop thinking about him, the wrongness that was somehow also rightness. The way space seemed to ripple around him like heat waves on summer pavement. The impossible catch, and those eyes that held galaxies. She pulled out her physics textbook. But the equations blurred. Her mind kept returning to the moment their fingers touched. That electric shock that felt like her atoms had briefly existed in two places at once. Maya opened her laptop and typed Kai Thorne into search engines. Finding nothing. No social media. No digital footprint. Like he'd simply materialized into existence. That morning, the logical part of her brain offered rational explanations. New student, probably just private. Unusual features, but ultimately human, yet her instincts. Those same instincts she'd always trusted. Whispered something else entirely. She thought about the way he'd spoken of particle entanglement. with the confidence of someone who'd witnessed it rather than studied it. The phrase "time is the illusion" echoing with deeper meaning than quantum theory outside her window. Stars scattered across the September sky, and Maya wondered which one might be home to someone like Kai Thorne. If home was even the right word for wherever he came from, she touched her finger where his skin had met hers, the spot still tingling faintly with residual energy, and made a decision tomorrow she would find out the truth, no matter how impossible it might be, because Maya Rodriguez had spent her life studying the universe's mysteries, and she'd just met the biggest one yet as she finally drifted to sleep. Her dreams filled with violet eyes and spaces between stars where the laws of physics bent into new shapes. And somewhere in those dreams, she heard Kai's voice saying, "I'm finding it more interesting than I expected," with meaning that went far beyond casual conversation. The Discovery of the library stayed open until midnight on Thursdays, and Maya had claimed her usual spot in the astronomy section. Surrounded by textbooks and star charts she'd been studying for her advanced placement project, she hadn't planned on seeing Kai there. But at 11:30, movement caught her eye through the shelves. That familiar too fluid grace she'd been watching for 3 days, now Maya set down her pen quietly. No curiosity, overwhelming caution. She crept between the astronomy shelves until she could peer around the corner into the reference section. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Kai sat alone at a far table, but he wasn't studying. His hands hovered over an open book of constellations, and soft light emanated from his palms. Gentle purple-blue luminescence that cast dancing shadows across the pages. The light pulsed in patterns that seemed almost like language, geometric shapes forming and dissolving in the air above the star charts, and Kai's eyes reflected that same glow. Fully violet now, without any pretense of brown, Maya must have made a sound because Kai's head snapped up with inhuman speed. The light vanished instantly as their eyes met across the empty library. For 3 heartbeats, they stared at each other. Then Kai stood abruptly, gathering his things with shaking hands. "Maya, I can explain, can you?" She stepped out from behind the shelf, voice steadier than she felt, "because I'd really like to hear how you explain glowing in the dark." Kai looked around desperately. Confirming they were alone, the library felt vast and silent around them, fluorescent lights humming overhead in stark contrast to the ethereal glow she'd just witnessed. "Not here," he whispered urgently. "Please. If you want answers, meet me at Riverside Park in 20 minutes. The old observatory before Maya could respond. He'd moved past her with that impossible speed, leaving only the faint scent of ozone and the echo of her racing heartbeats. She should have gone home, should have told someone, should have done anything except grab her jacket and bike toward the abandoned observatory that overlooked the river. But Maya had never been good at and the universe had just cracked open to reveal something impossible. The old observatory loomed against the night sky, its dome rusted and forgotten. Kai waited by the entrance, and in the moonlight his features seemed even more otherworldly. "Sharp angles catching silver light. You came," he said softly. Relief evident in his voice. "You owe me an explanation," Maya replied, chin raised despite her trembling hands. "A real one. Not video games or fast reflexes." Kai nodded slowly, then pushed open the observatory door inside. The ancient telescope pointed upward through the broken dome. "Stars visible in the gap above my name isn't really Kai Thorne," he began, voice low and careful. "It's Catherian of the 7th Fleet, and I'm from a star system you call Andromeda." Maya's knees went weak. She sank onto an old observation bench. "You're an alien observer," he corrected gently. "My people study developing worlds. We document, we learn, but we never interfere. Never reveal ourselves." He turned those violet eyes on her. "Until now. Why are you telling me?" Maya whispered. "Because you saw me." Kai moved closer, his presence filling the space between them with electric tension. 3 days ago, when our hands touched, you felt it, the connection. My people believe it's impossible to form genuine bonds with humans, that we're too different, that your emotions are just chemical reactions we can catalog and understand. And you don't believe that." Maya found herself standing, drawn toward him despite every rational thought screaming caution. "I didn't," Kai admitted. and now he was close enough that she could see the faint shimmer beneath his skin. Like starlight running through veins instead of blood, I've observed hundreds of humans, documented thousands of interactions. I understood love theoretically, the neurochemistry, the evolutionary purpose. He paused, something vulnerable crossing his features. Then I looked at you. In theory became completely inadequate. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. What are you saying? I'm saying that when you dropped your notebook, I caught it without thinking. Pure instinct to prevent your distress, Kai's voice dropped to barely a whisper. I'm saying I've been on Earth for 6 months. Perfectly blended, perfectly professional. And 3 seconds in your presence undid everything. I thought I understood she should step back, should process this logically. Instead, Maya reached out and touched his hand. The same electric shock ran through her, but this time, Kai didn't pull away. Show me. She breathed. Your real self. Kai hesitated, fear flickering across his face. Maya, if I show you, there's no going back. You'll know the truth. And I'll be breaking every protocol my people have. Good. Maya's fingers tightened on his eye. Don't want protocol. I want real. Something shifted in Kai's expression. Surrender and relief tangled together, slowly. He let the human disguise fade. The change was subtle, but profound. His skin took on that faint luminescence she'd seen in the library. Patterns of light moving beneath the surface, like constellations mapping unknown territories. His eyes fully violet now, depths that seemed to contain nebulas, but his face remained the same. Those features she'd been memorizing for 3 days. Just more himself, more true. You're beautiful, Maya whispered, and meant to. Kai's breath caught. His hand came up to cup her cheek with impossible gentleness. My people would say this is impossible, he murmured, that I'm confusing observation with participation. That human emotion is too foreign for us to truly experience. What do you say? Maya leaned into his touch, skin tingling where they connected. I say they're wrong. Kai's thumb traced her cheekbone, light pulsing softly where they touched. I say that love isn't chemistry or evolutionary programming. It's this you and me in a broken observatory. And everything I'm risking feeling worth it. Maya rose on her toes, closing the distance between them, then kissed me like a human would. I don't know how, Kai admitted. But he was already leaning down. Figure it out, Maya whispered against his lips when they kissed. It felt like touching a live wire connected to the universe itself. Gentle and explosive, tender and cosmic, Kai's arms wrapped around her with careful strength. Like he was holding something infinitely precious. Maya's hands slid into his hair and she felt the truth of him. Alien and familiar, impossible and right here. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the air between them shimmered with residual energy. I'm in so much trouble, Kai said, but he was smiling. Really smiling for the first time. We both are. Maya agreed and kissed him again. Between two worlds, the next 2 weeks became a careful dance between Maya's normal life and the extraordinary secret she carried. Kai met her after school, in empty classrooms, behind the bleachers, anywhere they could steal moments together away. From watching eyes. Tell me about your world, Maya whispered one afternoon. Tucked against his side in the old observatory that had become their sanctuary, his fingers traced patterns on her arm, leaving trails of soft light. It's beautiful, but cold, he said quietly. We live for centuries. We travel between stars. We know everything about the universe. He paused, pressing his lips to her hair, but we don't know this warmth connection. The way my heart races when you smile. Maya tilted her face up to kiss him. These kisses had become easier, more natural. Though they still sparked with that electric energy that made her skin tingle, Kai had learned to be gentle, to savor instead of analyze. Your people really don't feel this, she asked against his mouth. We feel, but it's different, logical, controlled. Kai pulled her closer. What I feel for you is chaos. It's beautiful and terrifying and completely against everything I was taught during lunch periods. They'd sit in the library, pretending to study, while Kai showed her small marvels. He could make objects hover with barely a thought, could show her holographic star maps that appeared in his palm, could heal paper cuts with a touch. This is incredible, Maya breathed. Watching miniature galaxies spin above his hand. Your technology is centuries ahead. It's not technology, Kai explained softly. It's us. Our biology evolved with our understanding of physics. We shape reality through will and comprehension. He closed his hand. Galaxies vanishing, but knowing how stars form, never made me feel what I feel when you laugh. They were careful. So careful, but feelings this intense were hard to hide completely. Maya's best friend Sarah noticed her distraction. Her constant checking of phone messages. The way she lit up when Kai walked past. You're totally into the new guy. Sarah teased one day at their lockers. Maya's heart skipped. We're just friends. Don't look at each other like that, Sarah grinned. It's actually really sweet. He seems nice. Mysterious, but nice. If only Sarah knew how mysterious. Maya thought, but the secrecy weighed on them both. One night at the observatory, Kai suddenly tensed. His eyes going distant in a way Maya had learned meant he was receiving communication from his people. What is it? She asked. Fear creeping into her voice. They're watching closer, Kai said tightly. My commander sent a warning. They've noticed behavioral anomalies in my reports. Emotional language. Time unaccounted for. He looked at her with anguish. They suspect I've compromised the mission. Maya's blood ran cold. What happens if they know about us? They'll recall me immediately. Kai's hands shook as he held her face. And they'll erase your memories of me. Completely, like I never existed. No. Maya gripped his wrists, desperately. I won't forget you. I won't let them. You won't have a choice. Kai's voice cracked. Their technology can remove specific neural patterns. You'll wake up and I'll just be gone. A blank space where these weeks should be. Tears streamed down Maya's face. How long do we have? I don't know. Kai pulled her against him, his own luminescence flickering with distressed days. Maybe ours. They could come for me any time they held. Each other as the stars wheeled overhead through the broken dome. And Maya realized that loving someone from another world meant facing impossible goodbyes. I love you, she whispered fiercely. Whatever happens. I love you. Kai's arms tightened around her. I love you too, he said in his language first. Sounds like distant music. Then in hers, more than all the stars I've traveled between, but even as they kissed desperately, both knew that love might not be enough to bridge the gap between their worlds. And somewhere above them, Kai's people were making decisions that would tear them apart. The message came during fourth period. Kai's phone buzzed and his face went pale. He showed Maya the screen in the hallway. Symbols she couldn't read, but understood from his expression. They're coming tonight, Kai said. Voice hollow. Commander Rena herself. She'll take me back and erase you. Maya grabbed his hand. Not caring who saw? Then we run where Kai asked desperately. They can track me across galaxies. There's nowhere on Earth I can hide. Then we fight. Maya's mind raced. There has to be a way. Some loophole in their rules. They skipped the rest of school. Racing to the observatory where Kai pulled up holographic displays, showing her the protocols that governed his people. Pages of light floating between them here. Maya pointed suddenly. It says observers must remain detached. But what if you're not an observer anymore? Kai looked confused. What do you mean? Your people stay immortal because they don't truly live? They watched. Maya spoke quickly, idea forming. But what if you chose to become human? To actually be part of Earth instead of studying it? That's impossible, Kai breathed. The transformation would be permanent. I'd age like you do, die like you do. I'd lose everything my people are, but you'd have me. Maya touched his face. Really? Have me? A real life. Not observation, but participation. Kai stared at her. Conflict warring in his violet eyes. I'd have maybe 60 years instead of centuries. 60 years of actually living. Maya whispered. Isn't that worth more than forever just watching? Before Kai could answer, light blazed outside the observatory. A craft materialized, silent and sleek, and a figure emerged. Tall and radiating authority, Commander Rena entered with 3 others. Her gaze fell on Kai and Maya with disappointment. Catherian, you have violated every protocol I know. Kai stepped in front of Maya protectively. But I'm invoking the right of integration, the other observers gasped. Rena's eyes widened. You would give up everything to keep her. Yes, Kai's voice rang clear. I choose Earth. I choose humanity. I choose her. Rena studied them both. Then something unexpected crossed her face. Understanding. Maybe even envy. The transformation cannot be reversed. I know. Kai reached back for Maya's hand. You'll forget most of your knowledge. Become truly human. Mortal, Rena warned. I'll remember what matters. Kai squeezed Maya's fingers. Rena nodded slowly, then by the ancient laws. I grant your request. She touched Kai's forehead. Light flared blindingly when it faded. Kai stumbled. Maya caught him. His skin no longer glowed. His eyes had shifted to deep brown, with only hints of violet. He looked fully human now, beautifully. Perfectly human. It's done, Rena said quietly. Live well. Kai Thorn. She paused. Both of you, the observers, left as silently as they'd come. Maya held Kai as he adjusted to his new reality. Feeling the weight of mortality settle into his bones. Are you okay? She asked softly. Kai looked at her. Really looked and smiled with pure human joy. I'm more than okay, he said. I'm alive. Really alive, and I'm yours. They kissed as the sun set. Two humans in an old observatory, with nothing but time and love stretching before them, love across the universe. 3 months later, Maya and Kai sat on her apartment rooftop, sharing coffee and watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. Do you miss it, Maya? Asked quietly the stars. The traveling, living forever, Kai considered. His humanity had settled in completely now. He got tired, felt cold, experienced hunger and all the small discomforts of mortal existence. Sometimes I miss the knowledge, he admitted, but then you laugh at something silly. Or we argue about what movie to watch. Or I taste chocolate for the first time. He pulled her close. And I realized I was never really living before Maya nestled against him. They'd been navigating the complications together. Explaining Kai's sudden appearance to her parents with a cover story about exchange programs, enrolling him properly in school, teaching him the million small things about being human he'd never experienced. I got the acceptance letter, Maya said, pulling an envelope from her pocket. MIT. Full scholarship for astrophysics. Kai's face lit up with pride. That's amazing. You're amazing. We're amazing, Maya corrected. I couldn't have done it without you. Your insights, even as human, revolutionized my project. They'd been careful. Kai retained some knowledge, but presented it as theory rather than first-hand experience, helping Maya develop papers that push scientific boundaries without revealing impossible truths. What about you? Maya asked. Have you decided on colleges? I applied to MIT. Kai grinned. Figured we could study the universe together. From the inside, this time, Maya kissed him softly. These kisses still carried electricity, but it was different now. Human chemistry, instead of cosmic energy, somehow even more precious for its simplicity. I love you, she murmured, my alien boy, who chose to be human. I love you too, Kai replied, my human girl, who taught me what living means. As the sun climbed higher, they talked about futures and dreams, about the apartment they'd share near campus, about research they'd conduct together, about all the ordinary, extraordinary moments that made up a human life. Sarah had become their friend. Not knowing the full truth, but accepting them completely. She'd laughed when they finally admitted they were dating, saying she'd known all along. You two are like something out of a story. Sarah had said, the mysterious transfer student and the brilliant science girl. It's too perfect. If only she knew how right she was. Maya thought sometimes at night, Kai would wake gasping, dreaming of stars he could no longer reach, and Maya would hold him, reminding him of what he had instead, her warmth, her love. A future measured in decades instead of centuries, but rich with meaning. Do you think they watch us? Maya asked one evening. Looking up at the stars? Your people probably, Kai said. Wondering if I made the right choice. Did you? Maya's voice was small. Vulnerable. Kai turned her face to his, kissing her with all the passion and tenderness he'd learned. Every single moment with you proves I did, he whispered. I gave up eternity. But I gained everything that makes eternity worth having. They made plans. Not just for college, but beyond. Careers in research, maybe teaching. Sharing their love of the cosmos with others. Kai wanted to write, to capture what he'd learned about the beauty of limitation, the power of choosing love over logic. We'll grow old together, Maya said softly. Gray hair and wrinkles and all the things you never thought you'd experience. I can't wait. Kai meant it. The idea of aging beside her, of sharing every stage of life, filled him with joy. his immortal existence never had as they sat beneath the stars that had once been Kai's to travel. They knew the truth, that love was the greatest journey, that choosing someone was braver than exploring galaxies, that a finite life lived fully was worth infinitely more than forever spent observing from a distance. Maya leaned her head on Kai's shoulder, feeling his heartbeat steady and human in hers, and thought about the impossible boy who'd walked into her classroom and changed everything. Kai held her close, breathing in her scent, feeling the warmth of her skin, experiencing every precious second of being alive, and knew he'd do it all again above them. The stars watched, and maybe somewhere among them, Commander Rena smiled, understanding at last what her people had been missing. That observation could never compare to participation. That studying love could never match living it. "Thank you, Kai," whispered into Maya's hair. "For what she asked, for seeing me," he said simply, "for not being afraid. For teaching me that the universe's greatest mystery isn't out there in the stars." "What is it?" Maya asked. Though she already knew, Kai kissed her forehead softly. "It's here. In the space between two people who choose each other again and again. For as long as time allows, and under the vast canopy of stars that connected worlds beyond counting, two humans held each other close, proving that love transcends distance, species, and even mortality itself, that the bravest thing anyone can do is choose to truly live, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries happen not among the stars, but in the simple, profound act of two hearts deciding they belong together." The end.